I hit 72 balls into the exact same fairway yesterday. Same ball model, same swing speed, same launch angle. And 8 of them, 8, I literally just could not find. Not because I hit them into the trees, not because they rolled into the deep rough, but strictly because of the color printed on the side of the ball. And that one single variable, it cost me nearly $10 in lost balls for just a single bucket of swings. So the question we're answering in today's explainer, once and for all, does golf ball color actually affect your score, or is it entirely in your head?
Okay, let's dive right into this. You know, the USGA has exactly 0 rules about what color your golf ball can be, which means manufacturers have gone absolutely wild over the last 5 years. You've got Titleist making high Optic yellow, Callaway pushing these matte finishes, and Vice offering pretty much any shade you can imagine. And we hear the arguments every single week. Team Yellow swears they'll never go back, Team White says color's just a gimmick, and the matte crowd insists they can track their ball way better in the air. So we decided to run a full lab protocol on identical balls where the absolutely only variable was the paint. We tested a standard gloss white, a bright Optic gloss yellow, and 3 matte finishes, orange, red, and green. To really get to the truth here, we needed an airtight methodology. So we took 5 identical golf ball models. We're talking the exact same brand, same compression rating, same layer construction, and the exact same cover material. Literally, the only difference was that outer layer of color and finish. We set up our launch monitor, calibrated it for each ball individually, and executed a massive 350 strike protocol. We hit 15 shots per color with the driver, calibrated for a 95-mile-per-hour swing speed, then 15 shots per color with a 7-iron, then 15 wedge shots, and finally 50 putts per color from exactly 10 feet. We wanted hard, undeniable numbers.
Now, there is a massive difference between what you can see flying through the air and what you can actually find buried in the rough. We took 3 golfers of different ages and had them do a blind search in a 15-yard patch of rough. The Optic yellow was found in an average of just 6 seconds. The matte orange took 8 seconds. The standard white took 11 seconds. Matte red took 14, and the matte green, a staggering 22 seconds. That's almost double the search time of a standard white ball. Look, every extra second you spend searching is a second you aren't focusing on your next shot. And if you lose even 1 fewer ball per round just because you found it faster, you've literally saved a stroke. Let's talk about performance. Conventional wisdom says paint shouldn't affect how the ball flies, right? It's just a thin coating. Well, our data absolutely says otherwise. With the driver swinging at 95 miles per hour, the glossy white ball averaged 249 yards of carry. The gloss Optic yellow was virtually identical at 248 yards. But listen to the 3 matte balls. All 3 averaged between 244 and 246 yards. That is a consistent 3 to 5 yard loss on the matte finishes compared to the glossy options. Now, before you say, hey, 3 yards doesn't really matter, let me explain the science behind why this happens. The matte finish actually has a slightly different surface texture than a traditional gloss finish. It's micro rougher, and that tiny bit of micro texture creates just a touch more aerodynamic drag as it flies through the air. On a single shot, sure, maybe you don't notice it, but over 14 driver holes in a standard round, you're looking at potentially 40 to 70 total yards of distance lost, simply because of the paint finish on your ball. And honestly, the distance loss isn't even the most concerning part. Let's look at wedge spin. We hit full sand wedge shots with each color. The gloss white ball spun at 8,700 RPM. Gloss yellow was right there at 8,650 RPM. But the matte balls just fell off a cliff. Matte orange dropped to 8,200, matte red to 8,100, and matte green plummeted to 7,900 RPM. That is nearly 800 RPM less spin on the matte green compared to white. On an approach shot, losing 800 RPM translates to about 4 to 5 feet of lost stopping power. If you're firing at a flag tucked tightly behind a bunker, that 5 feet of rollout is literally the difference between a tap-in par and a deeply frustrating 3-putt double bogey. So we know matte finishes cost you distance off the tee and stopping power on the green. But here is where it gets incredibly interesting. Does paint actually change your putting? Stick around, because the putting data we uncovered completely changed our final recommendation, and the winner might actually surprise you. This is where things get truly wild. To test putting accuracy, we ran a highly controlled protocol. We putted each color exactly 50 times from a distance of 10 feet on our practice screen. We used the exact same stroke, the exact same speed, and the exact same line for every single ball. We wanted to see if the visual profile of the ball fundamentally altered how our testers addressed and struck the putt. Here's what the numbers revealed.
The glossy white and glossy yellow balls putted almost identically, 38 out of 50 made for white and 37 out of 50 made for yellow. That's a 76% and 74% make rate respectively, which is exactly where we expect to be from 10 feet. But those matte balls? They severely underperformed. Matte orange made 33, matte red made 31, and matte green made a dismal 28 out of 50. That is a massive 10 to 18% reduction in your make rate from 10 feet just by switching to a matte finish. And this brilliantly illustrates the hidden danger of matte golf balls. The science behind this massive drop in putting performance really comes down to pure optics. A matte finish diffuses light much differently than a gloss finish. Because it scatters the light rather than reflecting it cleanly, the reflection pattern at address is fundamentally different. For some golfers, this actually creates a visual illusion, making the ball look slightly larger or slightly softer. This visual distortion tricks your eye and subconsciously alters your alignment. We actually proved this by having our testers putt blind, where we physically lined up the putter face for them, and their make rates normalized almost completely. It's not the physical ball missing the hole, it's your eye being tricked by the finish. And you probably won't believe this last statistic. We asked our testers which ball they felt most confident putting with before we ever showed them a single piece of data. Keep in mind, there were only 3 testers. And yet, quote, 4 out of 3 of them said the white ball. I know, the math is a joke, but it perfectly highlights how deeply ingrained this is. Even our tester who has played yellow balls for years instinctively gravitated toward the white ball when asked about pure confidence at address. There's a massive psychological component to this game that raw numbers just can't always capture, but visual familiarity absolutely breeds confidence. So, after 350 shots and hours of testing, here is our definitive verdict on golf ball color. If you are a mid-handicapper playing for fun with a swing speed under 85 miles per hour and you tend to lose 3 or more balls per round, your winner is Optic Yellow. It performs identically to standard white on the launch monitor, it doesn't trick your eyes on the putting green, and it is absolutely the single easiest color to find in the rough. It will save you strokes simply by reducing the number of lost balls. Data, not opinion. However, if you're a better player, sitting in a single-digit handicap, generating a swing speed over 95 miles per hour, and you don't typically lose balls during a round, your winner remains gloss white. The putting data is slightly better, the spin numbers are highly consistent, and honestly, it's what your brain is already used to seeing. Never underestimate the value of visual familiarity when standing over a crucial 10-foot putt. Data, not opinion. And as for the matte finish, our verdict is clear. I'll be the first to admit that matte balls look incredible sitting fresh in the box. But the numbers simply do not lie. You are trading aesthetics for a loss of 3 yards off the driver, 800 RPM less spin on your wedges, and a 10% drop in putting accuracy. Unless you absolutely love the way a matte ball looks at address and it gives you a massive surge of confidence, because hey, confidence is very real in golf, the data completely rejects playing a matte finish. So I've got to hear from you. What color golf ball are you playing right now? Have you ever switched colors and actually noticed a change in your scores? Drop your answers in the comments below. I really do read every single one. If this explainer saved you from buying the wrong ball, or better yet, saved you from losing 3 balls in the rough next weekend, definitely hit that subscribe button. We analyze the data every single week so you don't have to guess. And up next, we're taking the Vice Pro and putting it head-to-head against the legendary Titleist Pro V1 in a blind test. We handed both balls to 20 golfers who had absolutely no idea what they were hitting. Can a $35 dozen really beat a $55 dozen? You definitely don't want to miss